Hello and welcome to this bass guitar lesson video. In this video I'm going to teach you how to play the major scale on the bass guitar. This is the most fundamental thing that you need to understand as a bassist and as a musician, is the major scale. Of course, the major scale pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So we have half steps and whole steps. That's what makes the major scale. That's what we're going to be using in this video to be making major scales in shapes on the bass guitar. So a shape is basically a pattern of our fingers on the strings. And as we cross over the strings, we are using different fingers to get different notes in the scale. Of course, your first finger is here, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, and your thumb doesn't count. Thumb counts on piano and other instruments like that, but for guitar and for bass guitar, your thumb is just your thumb. That's all you need to know about finger numbers. The very first shape that we're going to look at starts with a root note on the E string, the very lowest string down here on this side. We are going 2, 4, and that's on the E string. Then we go to the A string, and it's going to be 1, 2, 4, and then it's going to be up to the D string, and then we go 1, 3, 4. And here's what it sounds like: 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Or backwards, if you're going backwards, it's 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2. And that's our very first shape. Here, I'll play it again. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2. So when you're playing and practicing and learning the major scales, it's important to ascend the scale and then descend the scale as well. So you want to play in both directions, up and down. The first and most important thing to make note of is the position of the root note. What string is it on, and what finger am I using to play it? So it's on the E string, it's on the 5th fret, that's an A note, and I'm using my second finger to play it. That's an important piece of information. But we can also, in theory terms, we can call that not only the note A, but we could also call it the note 1. And we number the notes in the scale. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And we have all of those notes numbered in the scale. And backwards it'd be 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Numbering the notes in the scale is so important, because this is how we change keys. And we use this scale shape to play in different keys. For right now, we're playing in the key of A, but I could take my root notes and my root note on my second finger on the E string, I could move that instead to the 8th fret, and now we can play in the key of C. And we could still use the same numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, numbers in the scale, and also our finger pattern stays the same. So our finger numbers goes 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Exactly the same as it did down here in the key of A. But now, of course, we're in the key of C up here with our root note on the 8th fret of the E string. That shows that shapes are movable. This goes for all of the shapes that we're going to look at in this video. All of them are movable, and we can move them to anywhere we want to on the entire neck, and we can get any scale that we want to in any key that we want to. You got to memorize the scale shape. Then, also, you have to memorize all of the notes on the neck of your bass guitar. And you could just start with the notes on the E string, because that's where the root note of this shape is. The next shape that we're going to look at is actually the same exact shape that we just learned. It's the same finger pattern, and it's the same scale, it's the same everything. The only thing that's different about it is that we're starting, instead of a root note on the E string, we're going to start with a root note on the A string. So with our A string root note on the 5th fret, that's the note D right here, and we can play through our major scale exactly the same way with our finger numbers, our finger number pattern here, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. And also we can number and play the scale degree numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It is the same shape. This is the first shape of the major scale on the bass guitar, and maybe the most useful one as well. And obviously it goes without saying, but we can take that scale shape, and we can move our root note to anywhere on the A string that we want to. So we can move down here to our root note C on the 3rd fret, and there we've got the C major scale. We can move it up here to the 8th fret and get the key of F major. And if you don't understand how I'm doing that, is I'm taking the finger, which is my 2nd finger, which is playing the root note, and I'm taking that finger and I'm placing it on the note, which is the root note of that scale that I want to play. So if I want to play in the key of C, I have to take my 2nd finger and place it on the note C, which on the A string is the 3rd fret. Now let's look at a different shape entirely. This shape is going to start on our 4th finger on the E string. We're going to start on the 7th fret. This is the note B, so we're going to be playing a B major scale. This scale shape is a little bit different. We're going to actually shift, and I'll talk about what that means. But first of all, let's look at the finger pattern here. It goes 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, and then I stretch to the 3rd fret with my 1st finger, 1, 2. So that right there is called a shift. I shifted from my 1st finger being on the 4th fret and my 4th finger being on the 7th fret. I shifted so that I ended up with my 1st finger on the 3rd fret and my 4th finger on the 6th fret. So my whole hand shifted from here to here, and that is a simple shift. That shift happened on the D string when I went from my 1st finger to my 4th finger. I'll show it to you again. Here it is. I kind of squish my hand together like this. 4, stretch out, 1, 2. So 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2. And the scale numbers is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Starting with a root note on a different finger gives us a different shape. We could start on our 1st finger, on our 2nd finger, or on our 4th finger. And it also makes us really realize that we need to think about which finger is playing which note in the scale right now. And that's why counting the number notes in the scale is so important. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It's equally important to practice that as it is to practice your finger numbers. 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2. Practicing those 2 different ways does different things. One is just memorizing your finger pattern, and it's memorizing the shape. That's all it is. The other one is memorizing which finger is playing which note on which string in this shape. Actually, later on you'll find that it's actually more important to keep track of which note am I actually playing. That's more important, musically speaking, than knowing which finger comes next in the shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which one am I playing right now? Now this next shape, shape number 3, is going to be also just like shape number 1 in that we can start it on the E or the A string. This time we're going to start on our 1st finger. We're going to do that on the E string to start with. It's going to introduce us to the topic of 3 note per string scales. So far, scale shapes 1 and 2, we've only been playing 1 octave, from root note to an octave of the root note. And that's all we've done so far. But now this shape, we're going to go beyond the single octave. So first of all, we need to start with our root note, our 1st finger on the 3rd fret down here. That's where we're starting. And this is the note G, so this is going to be a G major scale. And you can see that this shape involves a little bit of kind of stretching and something called micro shifting. We just have to kind of move our hand because our fingers usually can't stretch as far as we need them to for this scale shape. And it's 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. We didn't actually use our 3rd finger at all in this scale shape. And we end on the 5th note up here on our 4th finger on the G string. That's the note that we end on, the 5th note in the scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 3rd scale shape here has given us pretty much 1.5 whole octaves of our major scale. At this point, we're going to take a small break talking about scale shapes. We're going to actually focus in more on the major scale pattern. Shape number 3 shows us all of the most important intervals that we need to understand and need to have memorized on the bass. Whole steps and half steps. Another way that we can name these is major second for a whole step or minor second for a half step. So those are the music theory terms for the intervals that we're playing. So that's what I'm going to use as we're talking about this. This is important because we need to know which notes in the scale have a major second between them and which notes in the scale have a minor second between them. We can do that, say, from the second to the third notes. We also have major seconds between the first and the second note, the second and the third, like we just said, the fourth and the fifth to the sixth, and the sixth to the seventh notes. All of these pairs of notes have a whole step between them or a major second between them. And there's two ways that we can play that major second interval. We can play it as we did here from the second note in the scale to the third note in the scale from 2 to 3. That is one way to play a major second. Or we can do it here from the 6th note to the 7th note. And the difference between those two obviously is that from the second to the third note, we're playing a major second interval on the same string. And from the 6th note to the 7th note, we're playing a major second interval across a string skip. So from 2 to 3, we're on the same string. From 6 to 7, we're going between the A string and the D string for that. So that's the major second interval. But we also have the half step, the minor second interval. And we get those from the third note to the fourth note and from the 7th note to the first note. So from 7 to 1, that's a half step. And you can see we're doing that on the same string. The other pair of notes that has a half step between them, a minor second between them, is from the third note to the fourth note. And that's a pretty big stretch here from the 7th fret all the way back to the 3rd fret here, from the 3rd note to the 4th note within this scale. The next important interval that we want to be aware of is the octave. We're skipping over 2 strings from G to G. You can see that we're going 2 frets over and 2 strings up. That is our very basic octave shape. Another octave shape that we have is the octave where we kind of leap across all of the strings from the 1st string to the 4th string. And we do that within this scale shape number 3 starting on the 3rd note. You can see that on the screen right now, that is another way of playing an octave shape. These intervals are the most important ones to be aware of. Back to major scale shapes. We're still on our 3rd shape where we're starting on our 1st finger on the root note. On the 3rd fret, we're just going to take that root note and move it up a string to the A string. The shape follows in the same way, but now instead of having extra notes above the octave, we're going to have extra notes below the octave. And this is super helpful and super important for dynamics and for playing songs. It's the exact same shape, so I'm not even going to bother saying finger numbers. I'm just going to play up and down the scale shape, and I'm going to call out the number of the note that I'm playing. So here we are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. We end on the 2nd note up there, and then back down 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5. And now we have 7, 6, and 5 below the root note C. Let me just show that in a little bit of a different way, actually. So I'm going to play shape 3, and I'm going to play it in the 2 different ways. So I'm going to start with the root note on the E string, and I'm going to start with the root note on the A string. It's going to be the same root note, the note C. So here I'm going to start C on the A string of the 3rd fret and on the 8th fret of the E string. So let me show you what that sounds like here. Starting on the 8th fret. And then starting here on the same note but on the 3rd fret. So you can see how this one shape gives us lots of possibilities for playing, in lots of different kinds of ways, with extra notes above the octave, extra notes below the octave. Our final shape for this video, shape number 4, is going to be kind of a combination of shapes number 1 and 3. So shape number 1, starting on the A string, that's going to be the basis of this shape, but we're going to expand it to the 3-note per string concept, and actually, just like we did in shape number 3, we're going to get some extra notes below the root note. So our root note is on the 5th fret, so the key of D right here. This is the note D. I'm starting on the 2nd finger, just like I did in the first shape, and I'm gonna play through the same finger pattern: 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4. That is the basis of it. But we're also going to get some notes below the root note. So we're going to go 1 7 6 5 4. In finger numbers, that is 2 1 4 2 1, and that is giving us the extra 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th notes below our root note. It's just super versatile because it gives me dynamic options for the song. I can stay light and airy for a verse. There's 5, here's 6, here's 4, and then I can go to the chorus. 5, 6, 4, 1. And that's a totally different sound, a totally different feel, totally different dynamics. And this 4th shape is awesome for that. So again, I'll just play through the shape one more time. I'll play through it with finger numbers. I'll play through it naming out the numbers of the scale. Let's start with finger numbers again, starting on the root note again. On the 2nd finger of the A string, the 5th fret, the key of D major. Here we go. 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4. And descending now, I'm going to go 4 3 1 4 2 1 4 2. And I'm going to keep going below the octave now. 1 4 2 1 2 4 1 2. There is our finger numbers. Now I'm going to play it with the scale numbers. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 7 6 5 4 5 6 7 1. That is all we are going to do in this video. So there is a lot in this video. I am purposely stuffing it full of information. If this is a little bit overwhelming, just remember that we've only learned one thing in this video, and that one thing that we learned is how to play a major scale on the bass. I've just shown you 4 different ways of doing it. Start with shape number 1. Stay there for a couple of months. Don't even go to shape number 2. Learn all of the notes on the E string. Learn all of the notes on the A string. And eventually you learn all of the notes on all of the strings. But just start there. That's a great place to start. After you're super comfortable with that first shape, of course you want to be learning all of the other ones as well, because they offer you different things. Say it might be uncomfortable to play the first shape of the major scale down here, but maybe it's a little bit easier for you to play the second shape of the major scale down here, where you're actually shifting and you're not kind of trying to stick in one place and just kind of stretching your fingers out. It's pretty uncomfortable down here to stretch your fingers out because the frets are so far apart. Beyond that, to the 3rd and the 4th shapes, 3-note per strings is kind of how we view scales on the bass for the most part. It is all 3-note per string, whether you like it or not, and whether you know it or not. But learning about 3-note per strings takes you beyond the 4 shapes and gives you, dozens and dozens and dozens of shapes that you can play major scales with on the bass guitar. But again, 3-note per strings is another topic for another video. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Hopefully now you understand how to play a major scale on the bass. Hopefully you understand what the major scale is, and hopefully you can start to apply this to real music very, very soon.